Great. Now, as we get settled in, feel free to share in the chat box where you're joining from today, what city, and what's inspired you to attend this webinar and get to hear from panelists today. All right. Great. Okay. Oh, hi again, everyone. My name is Lori Marvin, and I am the Director of Recruitment with California Volunteers, Office of the Governor. I'm going to kick us off today with a brief introduction to California Volunteers and the California Service Corps programs. Then I'll hand it off to the Chief Service Officer of California, Josh Friday, who will lead us in a panel discussion with 4 members and fellows here to share their insights about their service. And towards the end, we'll have time for Q&A. So throughout the event, please type your questions in the chat box and any reactions to what you hear or comments you might have. And we do have colleagues on the line who will address those throughout. And if you have questions for the panelists, they will be directed at the end of the panel conversation. We want you to walk away from the event today with a deeper understanding of the day-to-day activities of paid service and the opportunities available to you so that you can find your fit and apply to serve. The California Service Corps is an effort launched by Governor Gavin Newsom to unite and empower Californians through service. And now we're recruiting 10,000 paid service members to serve throughout our state. These programs include Californians for All College Corps, Californians for All Youth Jobs Corps, California Climate Action Corps, and AmeriCorps California. With thousands of members and fellows across the state, these programs make up the largest service force in the nation, and they address the most pressing issues here at home. Now, I want to pause to hear from you all. Okay, great. I'm going to launch a poll, and we want to hear from you all. What CV program are you most familiar with at this point? What California program do you best know right now? The answers are really pouring in. Keep them coming, folks. That's great. And it's great to see that there's a lot of folks answering that it's all new to them. Wonderful to engage with people just now considering joining service opportunities with California Volunteers. That's wonderful. All right. Well, no matter your starting point, you will learn something new from our panelists today. Heidi Diaz is here as the 2nd-term fellow with College Corps in Sacramento. Ben Chang is a California Climate Action Corps fellow. Max Killmeyer is currently a Youth Jobs Corps member in Fresno. And Wendy Parmalee will talk about her 2 terms as an AmeriCorps California member. And of course, California Chief Service Officer Josh Friday will lead the panel discussion in just a bit. Each of these panelists is representing a program that has had a profound impact in their lives and in communities across the state. College Corps enables fellows to build new skills, gain confidence, and earn up to $10,000 after completing 450 hours of service over the course of an academic year. They are full-time undergraduate students at over 40 participating colleges and universities across the state. They tutor and mentor students. They address food insecurity and take climate action. College Corps also proudly welcomes AB 540 California DREAM Act students. The California Climate Action Corps is for emerging climate leaders, and they provide fellows with hands-on experience in the climate sector and opportunities to lead projects focused on urban greening, organic waste and edible food recovery, and wildfire resiliency. Fellows earn a living allowance and money for school. They receive training and build professional skills over an 11-month service term while helping tackle our state's most pressing environmental issues. Young people from underserved communities who join Youth Jobs Corps gain on-the-job experience with public agencies and nonprofits in participating cities and counties. Members help the community through public service projects that support education, address food insecurity, and tackle climate issues while receiving a living wage, essential wraparound services, and other benefits to help ensure both the short and long-term career success of the members. AmeriCorps California connects Californians from all backgrounds to give back to the community by improving students' educational outcomes, protecting the environment, preparing communities for and recovering from disaster, and advancing equitable health outcomes. Members gain leadership experience while receiving a living allowance, money for college, and other benefits. And there are both full-time and part-time opportunities available with AmeriCorps California, and service terms vary from a few months up to a year. So whether you have a summer to give or 12 months, and whether you want to serve in a classroom, a state park, or an office environment, California Service Corps has a fit for you. Now, Josh Friday is someone with a wealth of knowledge about these programs and their impacts. As a member of the governor's cabinet, Josh Friday leads California Volunteers Office of the Governor. And since appointed, California Volunteers has grown and launched the nation's first statewide California Climate Action Corps, Californians for All Volunteer Initiative, a statewide neighbor-to-neighbor campaign, the Californians for All College Corps, and Californians for All Youth Jobs Corps. He is also the former mayor of Novato, his hometown. He also served as president of the Golden State Opportunity and as chief operating officer for Next Gen Climate. Friday served as an officer in the U.S. Navy as well as a member of the Judge Advocate General Corps. He received his law degree from UC Berkeley School of Law. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Josh. And Josh, I would love to hear about your perspective as a Chief Service Officer of California and the impact that you have seen members make in communities across the state.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Lori. Thank you for kicking us off and bringing us all together. And I'm already fired up seeing all of these names from across the entire state of California, every corner of our state, people interested in joining us today and excited about stepping up to serve and to create change and make a difference. So as Lori said, I have this awesome title called Chief Service Officer. And really my job is to mostly to brag about and be inspired by the kinds of people you're going to hear from today, from panelists who are actually serving in their community now, rolling up their sleeves every single day, and creating the kind of change that we need in our society. So we are so proud of what we've built with the California Service Corps, with some of the programs that you just heard about, and we are going to go into much more detail to answer people's questions. But what we've seen is that our impact, our members right now are having a massive impact, and they're having a massive impact on the issues that are most pressing for our time. So we think about climate change, existential crisis that we're facing. Our Climate Corps members are on the front lines, doing amazing work, organizing communities, empowering people, helping us tackle this challenge together. We also see people, and you're going to hear about them, folks who work in building community gardens, dealing with food insecurity as we see food insecurity rise throughout our society, doing nutrition education. We have so many incredible service members that are supporting educators. They're working with as tutors and mentors in schools. And they're working on a variety of other environmental impacts. So the truth is, if you think about just the biggest issues facing our society, our California Service Corps members are tackling them, and so it's inspiring, and it's not just having an impact here in California, but it's these ideas and these models and the work that our members are doing is actually starting to be seen around the country. So, for instance, 5 other states have now created their own climate corps based off of the California model. And then some of you may have heard last week at the State of the Union, President Biden talk about creating the American Climate Corps, which is also based off of the California model. So we're starting to see these ideas spread. We also have seen New York is creating their own College Corps version. So is Minnesota and Iowa. Which is super cool. And so the work that our members have, and hopefully all of you who are looking into signing up and applying to become a member, is having not just an impact in our communities here in California, but also nationwide, and it's real. The ripple effect is real, and so as Californians, we should all be very proud about that. So what I get to do now, I think, is probably the most exciting part of this whole afternoon together, which is introduce some of our panelists who are kind enough to share their stories and their experiences to hopefully answer some of the questions you all might have. So let's, I'll start by just a quick introduction to provide a little bit more detail from who you're going to be hearing from today. So we have Jairi Diaz. Jairi, do you want to wave, say hello to everyone? Fantastic. She's in her second term, so that she signed up for there's 2 years of College Corps. She's a fellow at Sacramento City College, focusing on food security, and she serves at the Aggie Compass Basic Needs Center at UC Davis, where she's connecting folks with housing, finance, and food services, and she's also helping manage their graphics design and CalFresh promotion, which we know is a massive and critical effort in order to deal with food insecurity in our state. So thank you, Jairi, so much for being with us today. We also have Ben Chang, who is in his third term. Yes, so if you all have a question about how many can you be part of the California Service Corps more than one term, the answer is yes. Just look at Jairi and Ben, and also Wendy, who you'll hear from shortly. Ben's in his third term as a California Climate Action Corps fellow. He's serving in Chico, focusing on wildfire resilience and teaching folks how to protect and care for our environment by introducing low-intensity prescribed fire to forests in California. And for those of you who are from around the state may know that Chico is near where the Paradise Fire was and several of the other really severe fires that have impacted our state. So Ben's doing critical work on the ground in communities that need it most. So Ben, thanks for being with us today. We also have Max Killmeyer. Max, you want to wave to everyone? Say hello. Awesome. Max joined the Youth Jobs Corps in Fresno last year and currently supports an entire team of Youth Jobs Corps ambassadors who are caring for the city of Fresno through maintenance and beautification projects and probably much more. So we're going to hear from Max shortly. And then we have Wendy Parmalee. Wendy, do you want to wave? Say hello. Awesome. And Wendy, as I mentioned, has served 2 terms with AmeriCorps California, our other program, and she turned that experience, like many of our service members do, into a career. And it's what we love to see, that the service experience leads to a career that is meaningful and meets the passions of our service members. And she's now working as a team leader at Meadowview Family Resource Center in Sacramento. So that's our panel. Super inspiring people. So thank you all for joining us, and thank you for all the incredible work you do every day to help our state. And now let's jump into it. So Ben, since you're the veteran, your 3rd year of Climate Corps here, super impressive. I'm curious, before you actually served as a Climate Corps fellow, you were working in environmental conservation already. You were building trails, you were developing a program to get youth to enjoy the outdoors. So clearly something you're passionate about. But as an already established professional in the environmental space, why did you decide to join the California Climate Action Corps?
Yeah, great question. I have always been passionate about social and environmental issues, specifically where those 2 themes overlap. And that's what my previous work was doing. And I saw that California wildfire was kind of this new issue that had never been taken care of. And I thought, well, I really want to focus on working on that. And when I heard about this program and potentially doing a California Climate Action Corps term, I thought it was a great way to both pivot my career into something that I'm interested in, and that was hard, but also get an opportunity to kind of try different things, whether it's agency work, volunteer work with nonprofits, or even working in communities. So it was the perfect organization to kind of let me figure out and try new things. And ultimately, I really had a great first year. So I ended up doing a second year, and then this will be my final term, the 3rd year.
You took away my question, which is, are we going to get you back for a 4th year? But that's okay. We're proud of you, Ben. Thank you for stepping up in such a major way and helping us honestly build a program that's now a national model. It's something that you should be proud of, and we're super proud of. Very cool. All right, let's go, Wendy. Let's go to you next. So I understand that prior to serving with AmeriCorps California, which you did for 2 years, that you actually didn't have any related experience to the work that you ended up doing as a member. And that can be intimidating for someone to jump into something new, brand new, and to learn new skills. But I'm just curious, from your AmeriCorps experience, what sort of training and support did you receive that helped you succeed in your role with AmeriCorps?
Yeah, I didn't have any experience. I had had a number of jobs, nothing in social services whatsoever. And those jobs kept closing down because of high costs to operate in California. So I decided I needed a degree. So I went back to college. So in college, I did have a job working for the Institute for Social Research, which was just a data collection job. And when I got out of college, I had no other experience. And so a friend told me about AmeriCorps and I applied. The training for Birth and Beyond is a very unique program for AmeriCorps and for Sacramento County. And so the training for the collaborative, there's 9 sites in the collaborative of family resource centers. And so there's the Child Abuse Prevention Center oversees all of our training. And basically what that means is that everybody gets the same information when there's updates to curriculum and things like that, updates to how people view parenting and things like that. All of that is equally amongst everybody in the collaborative. And so it's super supportive. You get to meet other people from different parts of the county, and you get to be part of this family where, everything is encouraged. You never feel like you're trying to figure it out on your own. And then the people at your specific service site who have been through the trenches, who have been working with the community, kind of mentor you. So there's so much support and so much training. Even just the first couple of months before you start really working with the community.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that you use the word family, because we think about the California Service Corps as one big family of not just people who are serving together now, but also will know each other and support each other for the rest of their career and the rest of their lives. And it is a powerful service family. So Wendy, thank you for sharing that. Max, let's go to you. So you support in Fresno, California, an entire team of Youth Jobs Corps program ambassadors, which maybe you'll tell us about. What does a typical day look like for you? And what skills do you feel like you're gaining in the Youth Jobs Corps, and maybe compare it to what you think is different compared to other jobs you've had in the past?
Yeah. Well, first off, our ambassadors, we have a group. They go around downtown Fresno, they clean up, clean graffiti, they work events, hospitality, really focus on working with the public and cleaning up downtown. So my job, daily basis, I manage their inventory, I make their schedules, I try to connect them with whatever resources they need, whether it's wraparound or maybe they need to talk to somebody else on my team about something. Just try to work with them as much as I can. And all of that is completely different from, I think, anything I've ever done. It's very different than flipping burgers at Jack in the Box, I'll tell you that. But very exciting. I'm learning a lot. It's much more professional and difficult, but a lot more fulfilling and fun.
I appreciate that, and I love that you call out that doing hard work can be fun and fulfilling, which is exactly what we love to see. So thank you, Max, for sharing that. Hyrie, you are in your second term, as we talked about, in College Corps, which is amazing. I won't put you on the spot to ask if you can match Ben's 3-year-long career in service. But I would like to ask you about what you're doing, what your day-to-day looks like. You're doing service projects focused on connecting college students to basic needs. Tell us about what that work looks like and what you most enjoy about your role.
Yeah, so I'm currently stationed at UC Davis iCampus, like we mentioned before. And basically, I'm part of their CalFresh outreach team, and I am their graphic designer. Basically, I make graphic designs that are able to connect students to the different programs we offer. For example, CalFresh, which provides a certain amount of money for students to afford groceries, because food insecurity, especially if you're a college student, can be such a big thing since you're juggling all different expenses besides just paying tuition. So that's one. We have programs like Aggie Fresh that's also for students who may not qualify for CalFresh specifically, but we can help them find other resources. And I also make different flyers and stuff like that to be able to promote programs that even UC Davis might have that students may be interested in and that can be helpful. I basically, my day-to-day basically entails getting information from my managers and my supervisors about different programs and different events around campus that might be helpful to students. And then I make something that will be informative, but also eye-catching so students are aware of what's happening. And besides that, like I mentioned, I'm also on the CalFresh outreach team. So I help students apply for CalFresh, answer any questions they might have about their case and stuff like that.
Awesome. And what do you most enjoy about all the great work you get to do?
I like to see students feel that relief of getting that help they might need. A lot of students are kind of scared to ask for help and ask for these resources. So if my designs can help students reach out and be like, oh, I'm eligible for this, then I can apply. And for me, that makes me really happy because it means that my things are being noticed and that they're helping someone else.
You're making a real difference. That's very real. Thank you for sharing that. Ben, let's go back to you. Another question. So you, as you talked about, you focus on wildfire resiliency in a really, really important part of our state. So that work is critical. Describe to us what your work environment is like. Who do you work with? Who do you collaborate with? What does a typical day in Ben's life look like?
Yeah, so I'm really lucky that I get to live in Northern California. I grew up in the Bay Area, found myself always being outside, and kind of knew that was going to be my career someday. And whether it be trails, forests, or fire, I like being outside as much as I can. So a typical day for me is collaborating with the local Prescribed Burn Association of Butte County through the Resource Conservation District. We have pre-set up days based on climate conditions and the forest ecosystem that we're in, when we can have intentional burns on the land. So we can actually put fire back on the land as indigenous people did for hundreds of years before colonial settlement. And we help landowners who just don't have the resources or the knowledge rediscover the tool of using fire on the land. So sometimes I'll show up to a burn and I'll be using a saw if they need me to cut some vegetation, or I'll be using a hand tool to dig a fire containment line. Sometimes I'll be on the firing group and I'll be putting fire on the land with the drip torch, and we can use low intensity fire that we're completely in control with to consume that forest fuel that just naturally grows and accumulates that we need fire to consume. So that's kind of the ecosystem I live in Northern California in Butte County. And when I'm not doing that, I'm answering emails, working on a computer, getting ready for these prescribed burns, doing a lot of training events with California Climate Action Corps or with the local organizations I volunteer with. And then on my spare time that I'm not doing fire stuff, I like to volunteer with some of the other fellows in Climate Action Corps, some of the ones who do food security or urban greening, because their work is equally important, and getting a diverse experience is important to me too.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Ben. And I will point out, you do not have to do Climate Corps for 3 years to get that awesome sweatshirt that Ben has. You can get that in your first year. So sign up now. Thank you, Ben, for sharing that. Wendy, I'm curious, because you use the word family to describe service, which, as I said already, I appreciate and love so much. Talk to us about the colleagues you served with at your host site. Talk to you about what it was like building those relationships, how you work together maybe to achieve common goals and a common purpose. And is there anything that particularly stands out in your mind as an accomplishment that you're especially proud of?
Yeah, of course. So like I said, I did 2 terms. When I first started at my service site, there was 5 others, AmeriCorps members that started with me. And so having that new nervousness of a new role in a new place, whether it's a new job with something you're familiar with or with something you've never done before, you still have that nervousness. So we all had that kind of camaraderie that we were able to kind of bond over. Whenever there was something going on in the office and we're like, oh, we haven't done this before, like, what are we going to do? We always had each other to be like, hey, let's just go tackle this together. So that was really great. There were a number of second term AmeriCorps members that were already there, who were helping mentor, and, you know, really help me gain the confidence to be able to like really step out of my comfort zone. My first week there, the very first day I was very nervous. I thought, there's no way I can do this. I'm 40 years old. I just got out of college. Like, what am I going to do? Right? What did I just get myself into? And by the end of the first week, I really felt like I had found my place in the world, in this career. Barely on the phones, you know, answering calls when families called in with crisis or whatnot. And I just knew that Meadowview was the place that I belonged. And then of course COVID hits and everything goes virtual. But we had such a supportive work family that, you know, if you're struggling and you're like, I just can't figure out how I'm going to, you know, do this virtual class. How am I going to do Lego Club with these kids? Or how am I going to do Kids Can Cook? It's going to be virtual, right? But figuring all of that out and persevering through that, I think is really like my most favorite accomplishment. But I think that there's been so many accomplishments with all of the great people that we've worked with, all the families that we've helped over the, you know, I've been there for now 5 years, going on 6 almost. And a lot of the people that I started with, that I was in training with day in and day out, they've moved up within their agencies, their host agencies. And I still get to see them in committee meetings. And it's really great. Most of them are still virtual, but every once in a while we get to be in person. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so great to see you in person again, right? I haven't seen you in like 2 years. I'm so glad you're still here, and things like that. So you really get to build professionally and personally, and you get all of these great people in your lives who just have a passion to really do the work and help. And so, yeah.
Great. I love it. Thank you. And all of it resonates very much with me and my service experience about building those relationships, which means so much and just make life fulfilling. Max, I wanted to head to you, and I appreciated what you said and what you shared about how this is a new professional experience, the Youth Jobs Corps, for you, and how you're enjoying that. It's fun and fulfilling, I think, is what you said. And I've also I've heard in the past folks talk about the California Service Corps as an opportunity to go from fast food to fellowship, which is something that you shared. So thank you. I'm curious though, doing something professional in a professional setting is new. There's definitely challenges to face. It's hard. I learned in my life that they call it service for a reason. Every day is a new challenge. And so I'm curious about, maybe talk about some of the most difficult parts of your role and how you've addressed those, and then maybe how you see some, what you've learned and how you're overcoming some of these challenges. How do you see that helping you with your future career goals?
Thank you. I think the biggest difficulty I've faced so far is the separation of working, like your typical like Walmart, fast food, that kind of stuff. And when you're done with the day, you don't have to bring home your work. And sometimes here I go home and I'm not doing it at home, but I'm like, oh my God, I didn't finish that. I need to do that tomorrow. And that's very new for me. And it can be pretty nerve-wracking sometimes when I got this thing due on Friday and I haven't done it. But I'm surrounded by a great team and a lot of people that are very supportive. And I'm learning this whole process. I'm just learning how to just be, I think, efficient and happy at work and to progress forward. You know what I mean? It's the program has afforded me the opportunity to live in an apartment now. The wraparound services have been fantastic for me, and yeah, it's just taught me so much about just being a professional. And I'm very excited because I feel like with what all the program has given me, moving forward is, I have more hope for the future for myself, for sure.
Oh, I love that. Well, you give us hope. So thank you, Max. Thank you for sharing that. Hyrie, Max talks about bringing his work home with him, worried about over the weekend. When you bring your work home, you probably bring it into the library because you're also a full-time student. So you're having to balance not just your work and all the important work around food insecurity that you're doing, but also a full-time coursework and class schedule while you're doing your College Core Fellowship. What have you learned in how to balance this, and what insights have you gained from this experience while also being a full-time student?
I want to say time management is very crucial in this because you do have to meet a certain amount of hours. It's the 450 hours. It may seem like a lot, but over the time we have, it does become less intensive. But one of the things I have learned is open communication with my host site supervisors is very, very important. Whether I am gonna study for finals next week, so I can't make it in, but they'll offer me remote work. That also is great. And one thing I've learned about managing both full-time school and then also my time at College Corps is that if I'm able to focus on school first and then College Corps just fits in perfectly because they're able to work around my schedule that I need to study, to attend events like these and stuff like that. So I've learned that I can manage my time pretty well. These past couple of months, I've learned that, and my supervisors are just amazing. So they're able to work with me and my schedule as well.
It reminds me of the importance, or the saying, if you want something important done, ask someone who's busy, and they'll be able to get it done. So we know you're staying busy and doing incredibly important work. So thank you for sharing that. All right, let's I want to go to Ben, back to you, because you've had 3 years now. You've already told us that this is your last year leading in the California Climate Corps. Tell what's next for you, and how do you feel like the Climate Corps has prepared you for what you're hoping to do next?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, this is not a career you do forever, obviously. We will go out into the world and expand from our experiences here. Definitely working these last 3 terms have illustrated that there's kind of a void in the world when it comes to creating professionals who are ecologically very centered when it comes to fire and implementing both the planning and the doing. And how do you do both? And how do you be effective as someone in that role? There are a number of organizations I'd like to go to work for, but I think the thing I want to do is cut my teeth again. And as a perk of being a AmeriCorps fellow at California Climate Action Corps, you get a scholarship. So I'm going to use my scholarship to potentially go back to grad school at the Wildland Management Program at CSU Chico. I want to go back and explore some things that I wonder if it can be done, and emerge from that academic experience in maybe 2 to 3 years as a professional that's ready to emerge into the world. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to do next, is continue volunteering, continue to do great things on my own, exit this program, go to grad school, have that transformative experience because of the scholarship I'm given, and then emerge after as a professional ready to enter the workforce.
So cool. Well, let us know how we can help on that path, which is amazing. And you also teed up something important we want to share, which is if you do one of our full-time AmeriCorps or our Climate Action Corps programs, in addition to the living stipend, you can also receive up in California, which we're unique, up to $10,000 scholarship to either help pay down debt or put towards school. So Ben, the fact that you're using that is so exciting to us. And I also love that you talked about this being the beginning of your service journey, that you plan to continue to serve and volunteer and stay engaged after, which is just so critical. So thank you for sharing all that. Wendy, what advice would you give someone who isn't sure if they have the skills to be an AmeriCorps California member, or maybe don't have the confidence? How you talked about it being a new territory for you. So what advice would you give someone who's thinking about it but not sure if they they had the skills or the background?
I would say that I was right where you are. I worked in scripted dialogue call centers. And when I graduated, I really had to just step out there and do that. I had to go for it. I didn't have any experience. I didn't have a lot of office skills. I mean, I worked in a call center, right? So I sat in a cubicle and I didn't speak to people that were around me. So interpersonal relationships weren't something professionally that I had done before. Really, all you need to have is a passion for the work, and the skills can be taught. You can learn how to do all of those other things. You don't have to know everything coming in. Questions are always encouraged. And so just taking that first step is really important. It's really big. There was a quote that somebody said just the other day, and I'm probably going to mess it up. And I don't know who originally said it, but it was something along the lines of when we step up, we grow. And if we step back, we stay safe, right? So I say step up, just try. I mean, you'll learn. It'll be a learning experience no matter what.
Love that. Thank you. It reminds me of something a College Corps fellow said last year, which is as part of the service experience, they get to learn to be comfortable with the uncomfortable,
Right.
which is such a valuable skill to succeed in this world. So really appreciate that. I'm going to do a quick go around to everyone else, and then we're going to go to Q&A. So very quickly, following up on Wendy's very, very sage advice. Max, what would you tell somebody quickly who's thinking about joining the Youth Jobs Corps?
Best decision I've ever made, and you should do it now. I'll help you.
All right, everyone, bother Max. He's going to help you sign up. So thanks, Max. Hyrie, what would you tell somebody who's thinking about joining College Corps?
I say definitely do it. This is my second year and I've learned so much. There's many different host sites in your community that you can join, from nonprofits to organizations. I would do it. If you need help, let me know too.
Fantastic. And Ben, someone who's passionate about climate change, wants to save our planet and do some good in the world. What advice would you give them if they're thinking about joining Climate Corps?
You know, if you're thinking about going into Climate Corps, know that you're going to do a lot of hard work, but in the end, you're going to learn a lot more.
Fantastic. There you go. Do it, and you're going to have people that help you along the way. That's the message from all these incredible panelists. Well, thank you so much to everyone for sharing with us. As I said before, you inspire me. You inspire everyone at California Volunteers. All of our service members are doing such great work, and to see that you're going off into the world, getting master's programs and leading teams at your sites and continuing to do really, really great work just means so much. So thank you to our panelists. Hope everyone found that as inspiring as I did. And I think Lori, I'm going to pass it back to you for maybe to start some Q&A.
Well, before we get going, what I'd love for our panelists to do is walk us through like some visuals here of photos from your service. So I'll ask Heidi first to tell us, what are we seeing here in these photos from your time as a Californians for All College Corps fellow?
Yeah, so this is my team from Aggie Compass. We have in the center there, we have a team picture of the CalFresh outreach team that I'm in. So these are my supervisors and my coworkers. And then on the left, we have an event that we attended, which was the Dia de los Muertos event. And we set up this cute table as an ofrenda, and we had really fun that night. And then the other picture is part of my team. There's a lot more members, but that's a little bit of them. And our sign that says love is a basic need, because it is. And yeah, there's an avocado there as well. So if you point that out. But yeah, this is my family at Aggie Compass.
It's so great. I want to ask one question about the Basic Needs Center. What types of resources do you connect students with there?
Yeah, so it's financial, housing, and food resources. Basically, we have many different pro staff that can help you connect to different resources on and off campus that can help you if you're struggling with any of the areas. We're open. We have even pantries where you can just grab and take sometimes like toiletries and then household items. And anyone is always there to answer any questions, even if we can help out with anything.
That's awesome. Okay, now I'm going to hand it over if I can get my screen to cooperate. Let's hand it over to Ben. What are we looking at here, Ben?
So on the left, that's just me. But what I used to do versus what I do now. So primarily what I do now is put a lot of fire on the land. The photo in the center is a prescribed burn that I did a few weekends ago. It's just us putting fire on the land in Ponderosa Pine Forest land. There's a lot of needle cast, or like the tree, you know, has little needles that they drop. That accumulates on the forest floor and creates a mat. And we're able to burn that at optimal times of the year. And the flame lengths are only about, 4 inches, 5 inches to about a foot tall. It looks more dramatic in a photo, but that fuel rapidly combusts. It's gone. You leave a black charred surface behind you that is optimal for more vegetation growth and is very healthy soil. So it looks very dramatic, but it's actually very low intensity fire. We're able to put it down on the ground very safely. There's about a dozen people outside of this photograph that are monitoring this 1 acre burn that we're doing. And on the right-hand side, in my previous site, during my first and second year, I was employing heavy equipment and creating shaded fuel break, which is how we prevent catastrophic wildfire from spreading. So typically along a road corridor, which is what that photo is along, we're using equipment to pile that extra vegetation from competing tree species, from just dead fuel on the ground, putting it into piles and then burning it during the winter months optimally. So all sorts of things you can do. I think the thing about forest work and most work in general is there's not a singular way of doing things. It's not a binary, either you do it this way or that way. There's a spectrum of tools that you must learn and skills you must have in order to do the work you do. So whether it's operating heavy equipment, running chainsaws sometimes, using fire in prescribed applications, there's lots of tools to return fire to the land and create a more sustainable future for our forests in California.
That is so fascinating. Okay. Now I'm going to ask Max to tell us about his photos of service here.
All right. On the left, we have one of our gatherings we do once a month. We invite everybody, all the interns that are working for the City of Fresno, to come out and join us at City Hall. This was our winter one. And then in the middle there is a picture of a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of those interns that work at the city. And then on the right here are some of my ambassadors, my favorite ambassadors, doing their job and having fun doing it.
Awesome. Okay, great. Now, Wendy, what are we seeing here?
Okay, so fun fact, I don't take pictures very often, so I did an impromptu photo shoot in some of my AmeriCorps gear. These were actually just taken a few weeks ago. One of the things that we did when I was an AmeriCorps member was we made flyers that we handed out to the community about our community events. And so that's the colored paper. I'm printing flyers. And then the next one, I'm in our front lobby, and I was actually speaking with one of the families that's been around since just after I started there. She had come in to pick up some supplies for one of our support groups that we have. And so we were having a very serious conversation, it looks like, about the next thing, the next project that they were going to do, and the types of conversations they were going to be having in their support group. And then in the last picture, I'm actually speaking with one of our home visitor AmeriCorps members. You can't really see her. She was just barely out of frame. And we're just talking about some of her cases that she has, some of her families that she's working with, and some of the resources we could provide for some of them that were in need for some stuff. So all impromptu, just from a few weeks ago, but the types of things that I would do in my day.
Well, and I also appreciate too that you worked with families and family services, and you don't necessarily, yeah, we want to make sure we're protecting the privacy of these folks. But it's nice to see that there is a wide variety in the environment in which you all complete your service projects, and lots of different types of service provided. Okay, great. Now that we've heard from our wonderful panelists, I'm going to stop and we're going to hear from you all. So let me stop share. Okay, great. And I'll hand it back to Josh, who will keep an eye out in the chat for questions that come to the top.
Great.
Yes.
Thanks, Lori. Yeah, and love those pictures. So keep sending those pictures. It's fun to see. So let's hand it out now to open this up for some Q&A. I see lots of great questions. I'll remind everyone that's joining that we will record this, so there'll be a chance to watch this again. And then also feel free to visit our website at caservicecorps.com, which should answer a lot of the technical questions about eligibility and others if you have specific questions. But while we have the panelists here, I would love to answer one of these questions from someone in the audience who asked, what's something unexpected that you gained from your service experience? And I'm going to open this up to anyone. So, and feel free if more than one of you want to jump in. But what was unexpected that you learned from your experience?
I can start.
Please. Yeah.
I think that one of the unexpected things was, I mean, I was going in very nervous, and I had never done the work before. I did grow up not far from my service site. And so really connecting with the families that had the same lived experience as I did. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. So seeing the families that really, and making the connections with those families that really, spoke to my heart. And really within that first couple of months, really just solidified that that's the job that I needed to be doing.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that, Wendy. Anyone else?
Something I was not expecting was the amount of people I have met across the state. With California Climate Action Corps, there is a once a year kind of gathering where they bring all 300 fellows to one site. We meet a lot of people. We keep following up with those individuals throughout the monthly trainings. So I've got quite a bit of colleagues now that I've been collaborating with, speaking with, and it's kind of good to just bounce ideas off each other. And then eventually, as I exit out of this program, they will become my colleagues at other organizations as well.
That's great. Building a network for life through the service. It's powerful and real. Great. All right. Anyone else? Hyrie, would you add anything else? Anything unexpected?
For me, it was, I didn't know I'd be doing graphic design. It was a skill that I found through doing College Corps. It's something that I found interest in. So it was nice to see that I had some skill in that. And then also I've met, like Ben said and Wendy, we've met like so many people that we can help out. And it's just, I don't know, it's a very fulfilling job, and being able to network and meet, I've met people who are in like my field that I want to work in. So it's also great to build those connections.
Building out the network as well. Very cool. Max, anything you would add?
It's a hard question for me. I'm just about blown away by everything everything that I've done and that's been afforded to me. So, that's all I can say.
Love it. Very cool. So there's a question about in here about what a typical work schedule day looks like, and is it Monday through Friday? Is it 9 to 5? And one of the things that we've been intentional about trying to build with the California Service Corps is to really provide all kinds of opportunities for so that these programs are available to lots of different people in different circumstances. And so I know maybe you guys can address what your typical day looks like and typical week, and obviously it's different from being a student versus a non-student, but maybe give us a sense of what does a typical week look like for some of you, so we can get a sense of some of the diversity that's out there.
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
actually, Max, go. Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, so I'm in California Climate Action Corps, and then it's 11-month fellowship, and it's full time, pretty much work. So 1,700 hours of service over the 11-month period. That's the maximum out of all these programs. So if you're a College Corps fellow, obviously you won't be doing that many hours. I think you'll only be doing like 450 hours. But it's a full-time job for me. It's something that I look forward to every day because it's something that I wanted. But working full time isn't that hard when you add up all the time. You're like working on your computer, you're actually on site, you're in the different trainings or collaborative meetings. I find that I actually do more than 40 hours a week because of my work is just so it's outdoors, it's long, and oh, by the way, it's very collaborative. So I'm always working at least one day on the weekend for me, not everyone. And then I typically work, a couple of 10-hour days throughout the week because there's just so much stuff that I enjoy doing and work that I'm doing already that just kind of ends up that way. So that can be a full-time thing for you. I think other people have a more work-school balance, and maybe someone can comment on that.
Yeah,
Max?
I was just going to comment on the variety of jobs that we have, at least within the city of Fresno. I'm in an office cubicle pretty much all day, but I work with the ambassadors who are outside all day. And then we have people over at the municipal center who are doing mechanic work, and we have people at fire who are doing firefighter work. And some of them work weekends, some of them don't. There's a huge variety, at least with us, that anybody can kind of get what they need. And we're very flexible with scheduling.
That's great.
So
Irene,
for
yeah, go
AmeriCorps
ahead.
with the Birth and Beyond program, we typically do Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 kind of hours, where you're going into homes and you're doing parenting education, or you're at our service site and you're doing family bonding workshops and things like that. Occasionally we have community events where we'll work a weekend, a full day for Family Fun Day, where we have bounce houses and free food and resources available, lots of books. We get the library to come out. And then sometimes we'll do things in the evenings. We just had a poetry class, so I got to learn how to write poetry, which was very fun. Or we'll do trunk or treat for our kiddos for Halloween or something like that, which typically goes till 6 or 7 at night. But those are fewer and farther between.
Yeah, for College Corps, you have 10 months to do 450 hours, but you also have to do, your full-time student role. So for me, I work Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but I work like at least 5 hours each day. And my schedule is super flexible, so I can move around some stuff. But it's not, some host sites, it depends what kind of host site you have. Some host sites may have more events in the afternoon, so they'll schedule you in the afternoon. And then other host sites, there are organizations that, have regular 9 to 5 hours, so you're scheduled within those hours. But definitely, I would say it doesn't feel like a full-time job. It's more of a part-time job, but you can definitely, it's like Ben said, sometimes there's just so many things that you want to do and you want to keep doing what you're doing at that moment. So you just keep going on and on. But yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So I think everyone gets a sense of how there's lots of different kinds of programs, different kinds of work, inside, outside. They can be very flexible. There's more structured programs. So really with the California Service Corps, we've created opportunities, like I said, for almost everybody. And we just hope that for those of you who are listening and interested, that you find something that works for you, that fits your needs and your passions and your time. So thank you to all of our panelists so much for sharing your insights and your expertise and your knowledge with us. And I'm going to pass it back now to Lori.
I love hearing about the experiences of the service members and fellows. It's just the best part of being on staff here with California Volunteers. Now, with all of this, though, let's talk about what comes next. So You heard many personal experiences shared today, and hopefully you're walking away with a better picture of what service is all about. We heard examples of day-to-day tasks and projects that members lead, and we heard about what inspired them to join their program in the first place. So thinking about these the insights that you've gained today, which program are you most interested in considering as you continue to look forward? So I'm going to launch a quick poll. There we go. And it is multiple choice, so you don't have to pick just one.
While we wait, Lori, for the results, I will share that one of the coolest things we've learned over the last couple of years is we have several people who have done multiple programs, who have done College Corps, and then they go and join Climate Corps, or they've done Youth Jobs Corps, and then they go join AmeriCorps. So we hope that people do explore several different options, because there's so many different ways to serve.
There are, and every individual's perspective is different too. Every experience is different. You can be, you can come in after Heidi and serve at the same exact service site with the same school and have a very different experience, because we're all individuals with bringing our own lens. So it is always great to hear many different stories of service, so you can think about what might be a good fit for you. All right, I'm going to wrap this poll up, and Josh, I will hand it back to you to close us out with a call to action.
Fantastic. Well, the call to action is going to be super simple, team. Sign up, apply, become part of the California Service Corps. You got to hear amazing stories today of how transformational this program can be for your life as an individual, and also how transformational this work is for our communities. And our message from the state of California, from the governor, and from everyone at California Volunteers is really straightforward. We need you. We need every single one of you. We have really big issues to solve, really big challenges, and we need you to do what Wendy said, to step up, to make a difference, to be part of your community in a real way, and to join us, to be part of something special. We're growing this force that's now the largest force in the country, to become a model for the country, but we're just getting started. So you have a chance to be on the ground floor of part of something big, part of something exciting. And the coolest thing about all this is we're not just telling you we need your help and we're asking for your help. We're actually willing to pay you. So these positions are paid. You don't have to choose between following your passion or something that you care about and a paycheck, or deciding whether you can help your career or you can help your community. You can actually do it all at the same time. That's what's so cool about the California Service Corps. So we want you to choose the program that's best for you, that fits your passions and your interests, and your needs. So go to caservicecorps.com, explore the different programs, find out what's best for you, and join and be part of something that's super special. So with that, I want to just say again, thank you so much to our panelists, Max and Wendy, Ben and Heidi. Your stories are inspiring. Your work is inspiring. The paths that you've chosen for yourself is inspiring and makes not just our communities, but the whole California state stronger. So thank you for being change makers. Thank you for joining this conversation. I hope everyone that listened walked away with a deeper understanding of what these programs are, how we structured them, what your days could look like if you make the right decision and decide to join the California Service Corps. And we want you to apply it today. So right as we finish up, please take a moment to submit the survey that has popped up on your screen. We want to make sure that we're providing information, and as we do these webinars in the future, that are most helpful. And just know that we're so grateful to everyone who's interested in being part of the California Service Corps, in helping us create a state that is for everyone, that includes everyone, and also gives everyone the opportunity to contribute and make a difference in their community. So saying thank you with tons of gratitude, we're going to sign off, and we look forward to seeing you out there in the field as a California service member. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, everyone.